Yes, it's number 9.
It is number 9. Okay.
We're live.
Oh, are
We're
you?
live.
As we're shifting up the screen.
She's fixed her hair. She's fixed the microphone. Good morning. First of all, hello, Melissa.
Morning, everybody.
Melissa's just finished feeding her baby. Less than about 8 minutes to go.
8 minutes ago. Yep.
And we've had a microphone battle, but I believe we're live. We are, so I need to share that onto our event page. So could you, I'm going to just throw this at you. Do you want to introduce, because you're part of this?
Yep, awesome.
So make sure you say how great I am as well, please. Thanks.
How great at the technology part of the Survive and Revive series that we're listening. So welcome today to session 9 of Survive and Revive. For those who are joining for the first time, the broadcast is been put together by Richard, myself, and the team at Travel Daily. So Richard Taylor of Travel Industry Hub, which is a gorgeous co-working space that has just recently been launched. And
that you've never been to yet?
I haven't been to yet, but I'm saying it's gorgeous because it looks gorgeous. And then I come from C&M Travel Recruitment. So, and lucky enough, we've had Bruce and the team supporting us from Travel Daily and Travel Bulletin to really just communicate out to the industry, I guess just info sessions and what everyone's talking about, and just to be communicating out there more than anything. So today is session 2 of my little LinkedIn series. We did session 1 last week, which was focusing on building your profile. And today is, what do I do with it? And I'm sure Richard's going to throw some questions at me and pop up his profile through today, but I'm going to try and keep it a bit shorter today. I think we went up to about 40 minutes last week, so I really want to try and keep it down. Again, if you've got any questions along the way, fill them through the Travel Industry Hub Facebook page, and we'll try and answer them online. If not, you're most welcome to communicate with me afterwards. And I have to say, it's been really nice this week. I've had lots of people contact me through the week going, how does my profile look? And even to the point of going back to my first session about resume writing. So getting resumes up to date, getting a LinkedIn profile, and hopefully now today will be, how do I use it? What do I do with this thing to, I guess, enhance my presence in the industry? So that was a long intro.
It was good though. You didn't read it or anything. So there's an air of complacency today, I've got to tell you, because my wife is working on the dining room table. We've got the kids bouncing around the house, my 2 boys. I know you've got 4 hidden away, unsupervised, correct? Yeah. Including a baby.
Correct.
Yeah. When I went out of the room to tell my wife to be quiet this morning and make sure the boys aren't coming down this end of the house, she's not even there. So they're under instruction. So let's go.
Let's hope that kids don't walk in along the way. But if they do, everyone's in the same boat, right?
That's the world we live in.
So
yes.
It's all good. It's all good. So today I wanted to give some more tips on LinkedIn, but also start to touch on personal branding, because and this is a buzzword that we're hearing in the, I guess, the sales and recruitment space especially, is, how do I get myself advancing in our industry? And I always, in every single interview I do with someone or coffee chat, I talk about personal branding. Who knows you? How do they know you? And what do they know about you? And that's where LinkedIn can help launch that. So I always say social media is awesome to get that message out there, but you still need to connect face-to-face. People sell people, right? So it's great to start the process. Now, if we're talking about online presence, one thing I always say to people is Google yourself. Pop your name into that Google search and see what comes up. Richard's like, no. Now, the reason is, I have to say, my team of recruiters, that's the first thing we do before we make a phone call of when we've reviewed a resume. And it's amazing what dirt you bring up on people. Now, I've had court cases come up. I've had some very interesting photos come up, and that's all well and good. Just be a little bit careful of what's out there, especially if you're job seeking, but even in business networking, right? You know, when I've got a BDM coming to me for one of my suppliers, I always Google them. Who are they? What have they done before they've done this job? So I always say, just have a look at what's on there. And if you've got anything in your Facebook or, you know, someone else has popped something that may be a little bit, what's the word? I was going to say discriminatory, but some of the stuff we've seen, we had a guy this year that had some...
Who may be listening, to this.
He may be listening, but
yeah.
there were some very dark things on his Facebook page. And he obviously has some mental stuff going on. You've got to be really careful of what's going on online. Everyone can see it. So just making sure that we can Google it yourself and it looks okay. You know, we all have fun times out there, and it shows personality. You know, I love seeing them when they've got their travel pictures and so forth. So Richard, what's your question?
Yes. Well, look, I've already worked out you're a bit of a spy. And you must love digging the dirt on people. But let's just ask a question. People are entitled to their own life, right? Do what they want. What's it got to do with the job?
It also goes back to, is this person right for my team? You know? And in the word, and I hate the buzzword of culture fit, but it does, you know, you start to build a bit of a persona about someone. And for me, it actually opens up some questioning. You know, I saw on your Facebook page that you have a dog. Tell me about that. It's obviously one of your hobbies.
That works well if the person's got. Like, if I look at you on Facebook, for example, I search you on there, I'm going to find you, right? But you're not going to find Richard Taylor. There's a billion of us.
Yeah.
So
I
guess
ways though that we can. There's lots of algorithms that we can use.
All right, let's move on. I think. Because yeah, I don't know where you're going. Yeah, good.
So that was one thing that I wanted to get out there. So the second part, and this is going back into your LinkedIn now, is how to build our audience. Who is your audience? Who do you want to connect with? You know, is it that you're a BDM and you're connecting with travel agents? Connect with all your agents. You know, get them to really be part of your journey. It could be that you're a travel agent and you want to connect with your suppliers, or you want to connect with your customers. And going on to my next session for how to use LinkedIn, I'm going to be talking about how to utilize those connections then. So, you know, I've been working actually with one of my friends who's a local flighty, and I'm helping her build her LinkedIn presence amongst our local community. Now, we live in, you know, a very close community here. It's not hard to start communicating with these people, the right people, the ones that you want to do business with. So, you know, what you need to be doing is going, you know, pressing that connect button to someone that you may have been a customer, or maybe someone that's on a quote with you, and saying, you know, thanks very much for coming in. Let's connect for the future. Because then that way, you know what messages you want to put out there on LinkedIn. So that's the first. Who's your target audience? And start connecting. Now, with any of my new recruiters that come on board, I give them a target per week of how many they should be communicating with. Now, not when I say target, we're definitely not KPI driven here, but we do have, you know, goals of who do we want in our network. It's not all about numbers, but it definitely does help in this case, because if you're building, you can't just do 2 messages a week and hopefully that's going to win you a customer. You know, we really want to grow that network on a consistent basis. One thing you can do, and it's a little bit sneaky, but if you've got someone like Richard Taylor, and you want him, you want to use his connections, there's actually an option that you can go and have a look at who he's connected to. Now, on your profile in privacy and settings, you can actually change that so no one can look at who your connections are. So if you go into, and I'm hoping if you go into my profile, you won't be able to see my connections because I'm hoping I've turned them off. But if Richard hasn't, I can go in and go, who are your first connections? Actually, who are your second connections to me? I might want to connect with them because they might be really relevant to me. So then it's just a quicker way of building that network faster.
Is that a setting we can show people now or not?
The privacy setting or the connections?
Okay, that's the connections thing. I don't see the problem in anyone seeing my connections. I do hide it on Facebook, but I don't see the problem on LinkedIn, is there?
I think some people might overuse it. So
okay, yeah.
They could easily go into your connections and go connect. And I think you can do about 200 a day. I think that's the volume that you can do. And then all of a sudden your contacts are being spammed. And that's what you don't want. And I mentioned this last week, you know, I get a good 20, 30 a day from overseas. So they're obviously finding me somehow. And this could be one of the ways, is going into one of my connections and going connect. But that is a quick way for you to build your network. So you might want to go to, I don't know, one of your BDMs and going, who are all the, a fellow BDM maybe, and go, who are the agents that they've got on theirs that might be in my network. Connect. So that's a second part of building your audience. And also with that, because the biggest part of that as well is looking at those first and second connections, because that as much as they're going to be very similar, what we also want to do is show our customers some credibility. So if we're connected to ABC Travel and ABC Travel go, yep, Melissa's done a fantastic job, and then Sydney Travel down the road see that, again, we're starting to see some credibility of my work. So the more people that you can connect in the same portfolio is going to enhance your presence out there.
Sure.
Another way to build that audience is to join groups. Now, again, you can go on any of your connections profiles and see what groups they're part of. Now, when I first started, I did have a look at who my connections, where are they networking? And there's a lot of them out there. So, you know, most of the travel and tourism boards have them. You know, there's lots and lots that you can be part of, and they will communicate within their group. And again, you can connect with people within those groups as well.
Sure.
So then you've built your audience. Okay, so what do we do with these people? You know, and Richard, you asked a question last week about the tone and what to say and what do, you know, what do I do in these posts and how often do I do them? My advice and what I've had success on is keeping momentum. You know, you need to keep in front of people. Now, I'm not saying post every day because that's just going to annoy people unless you've got something really good to say. And in current times, you know, I'm looking at my feed and I'm looking at our suppliers posting information about changes and fees, and we want to hear from them every day at the moment, right? And this is a great platform to hear that stuff on if they're not getting it through their internal communications. But you know, on a I guess got a little bit of a rule, I would say 3 times a week, and you might want to change your messaging. So one might be a personal message that you've typed up going, you know what, this is what we're doing this week. Take a picture of what we're doing. You know, it might be some planning and you've got a team around you, and well, not at the moment, but and posting that out to your network. I've done it before where I've been out on the road and taken an awesome picture of a beach and went, you know, so great to be at the sunny coast at the moment. So then my clients up in Sunshine Coast know that I'm up there. So it's telling your story of what you're doing, but also a bit of cross promotion. Now, do you want it to be ultra professional all the time? That's up to you. You know, how do you want to be perceived? And that's what personal branding is about. And I always say when I'm training people that the first thing you need to do whenever you start any type of messaging out there is, what do I want to be known as? You know, what do I want people to think of me as? Now, I'm hoping some of the traits I'll share with you of what I want out of my profile is I want to build trust. You know, I want people to know that I'm honest and that I actually care about what I do and I've got passion. So as long as I can portray those qualities in my messaging, I think I've done my job. But if I'm trying to copy someone else and be ultra professional and very corporate, and that's not me. That will never be me. That's not the type of business I have. But so I think you've got to know that first before you know, before you kind of work out a plan of what to put out in your messaging. Now, it doesn't always need to be something from you. It could be that it's you're forwarding a post from your company. So, on the company page has an update on current processes. You might want to forward that out to your network and go, just to keep you informed, have you seen this? Or you might have read an article, and one that I love, one of my companies that I follow is The Muse, which is an American content producer basically, and they have some amazing recruitment ones. And sometimes I'll just forward them out and go, this is a great coffee read. So again, it's just sharing information that you feel is relevant to your audience, but also for them to get to know you. And again, going back to the goal of, we want to take this conversation offline. We want them to know who we are, and then how do we connect face to face? And I'll tell you a story on that actually, and this happened probably about 5 years ago. I was out on a road trip down in Melbourne, and I was out seeing a corporate travel client, and I was waiting in the reception of this company, and this guy walked past and kind of double took at me, and I was like, I don't know who you are. And he looked and goes, hey, you're that chick off LinkedIn. And I was like, maybe. And he's like, yeah, you're that recruiter. What are you doing here? And it just opened conversation. And as much as I don't want to be the LinkedIn chick, it was great that actually it had done something to my brand, that person actually knew me without me having met him before. But again, the goal is for you to connect, build that trust with your client, and then try and take that relationship offline to sell. Because I think one part of LinkedIn that people go wrong on, and I'm sure we're all getting this, is you'll get spam messages through LinkedIn going, oh, would this be of interest to you? And it's a template and it's not personal. And you know what, you don't want to be a salesperson doing that. You really want to be showing that you're taking the time with that person as you would if you picked up the phone.
Are we going to cover how to, once you've connected with someone, so imagine I connect with you, and I'm doing it because I want to promote what I'm doing. What annoys me is I get, I'm sure everyone does, gets a lot of people connecting, and then within a few hours, bang, here's a sales thing, and I work in automotive engineering. I've got no interest in that at all.
Yeah.
Are we covering that?
Yeah. I think with the messaging, if that's what your question is about, absolutely. So this is what I wanted to talk about with in this part actually. So in your post, it's gaining credibility, but the next part of it is being active on social media. So again, instead of putting that template out and going, come and use my recruitment services, show interest in what that person does. So if Richard's put a post out about his company or about, this is the event we've had on today, put a comment on. Great post, Richard, or lovely to see that, or some words of encouragement. Every time you comment, that person's going to take note of what you do. So it's great when someone gets a new job. Congratulations, so great to see. And the more that they start to see your name and see that you're actually reading their stuff, because a lot of people post things and you'll see there's no comments. And then you kind of think, hang on, did that actually do anything? So it's, showing interest into your target audience's posts is definitely the first part that I would do. Once you start doing that a couple of times, you might want to reach out and send them a private message and say, hey, Richard, saw what you do. Did you know what we do? If you ever need us, this is where we are. So again, yes.
Just a quick question. So if we are leading people on from the last session, starting with LinkedIn, what we're talking about here, I might go into my screen. I know that not everyone's watching on a computer. I get that, and we can talk them through it. But what you're talking about liking and commenting probably merits sharing. And I'm waffling because I'm just trying to press the button. But this is my profile. Can you see that?
It's just coming up now. Here we go.
Okay. So And the example, the first thing I've got here is Leanne Douglas has
Yep.
liked, who I am connected to,
Yes.
um, has liked a post
Yes.
by Bridget here, right? So
Correct.
what you're saying is that the fact that Leanne has liked it says something about Leanne.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if she makes a comment within there, that would probably also come up
Correct.
on my thing. So I'm a fan
Yeah.
of Carsten, for example. I can make a comment, and
Yeah.
everyone will see that who is connected to. Is that to me or to Carsten or what?
Yeah, within your connections, and I don't
Mm,
know how it's actually done because it doesn't come up for every comment that you do, and you don't want to go and be a stalker commenter, but for people that you generally want to encourage or that you're like, wow, that's pretty awesome, put a comment down, put a like, because what that actually does in the world of LinkedIn is it increases that post for that poster. So and I don't know the exact stats, but if you put a post out there and within so many hours it has comments and likes, it will bring that post up to the top of people's feeds. So the more views it has, the more encouragement LinkedIn is going to give it. So for someone that's trying to put out a bit of a sales pitch, you know what, they want the likes and they want the comments. The comments especially, again, bring credibility to that post. But also I think for me, I then start to see who is in that person's network and people are listening to this person. So maybe I need to pay attention to this person a little bit more. So the more that you can get involved in your network, and don't get me wrong, it's like Facebook. You get on there and you think, oh yeah, I'll give it half an hour today. And you're on there an hour and a half later because there's so much content being thrown out there. But you know what, there's people that I've actually taken off because some of their content is just not relevant to me, or that it's just way too much. And I just think, you know what, I don't want to see that every day. And so I think it's keeping your content relevant. So I want to say content, your posts relevant. And then also the people that you're connecting with, giving them some love in regards to their encouragements of their post. Obviously, if it's well-deserved. But there's lots of things that LinkedIn does as well. So it tells you when someone changes a job. It tells you when they have a work anniversary. So again, a little bit of words of encouragement. Oh, wow, you've been there 10 years. That's awesome. You know, time for long service leave.
Personal dislike of mine. If Melissa has a 10th anniversary at C&M Recruitment, there's a button to press congratulations, isn't there? Right.
There is.
And everyone
you can
writes,
see the ones that are templated.
yeah, write something. So carry on.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
But so the more that you are interacting with your network, and again, when you go and message them, they know who you are. And anyone that's had liaison with me over LinkedIn, I'm not a headhunter. I'm going to put it out there. I don't believe we are in such a small industry. It's not what we are. But what I do is in my travel community, I will go to Leanne Douglas and go, hey, Leanne, I know you've got a strong network in corporate travel. Do you know anyone that can do this job? And she might put up a hand and go, hey, Mel, I've just been made redundant. I'm actually quite interested. So going out to your network for assistance, people actually don't mind that. And I've had that before where I've had a supplier go, hey, Mel, do you know a way into this company? Actually, I do. Try this person. So, you know, and that's where we start to utilize it more than just posting and making my ego feel nice. It's actually using it as a tool for your business or for your job. Because otherwise we might as well be on Facebook, right? More than anything. So does that answer questions about tone, posting? Because that's a big part of it. And again, you might want, again, I said 3 times a week, even if it's once a week, you know, and some activity, then people will remember you. And that's what we need at the moment, especially for people that have been made redundant, not so much stood down, but made redundant. You need to start getting in front of people's minds and go, oh yeah, I know that girl. And I mean, I had one recently and she's I won't say what company she's with, but she's a home broker. And I'd known her from a long time ago as a job seeker, but her name is constantly coming up in my LinkedIn feed. And I love what she's writing. And she's in my forefront of my mind that if something comes up in that area, I will reach out to her. because she's doing the right thing in getting her brand out there and her messaging out there. So the more that you can do that at the moment and spend time doing that, then, you know, again, you're going to be enhancing yourself in the industry.
Just want to, there's also a danger of maybe posting too often, isn't there? Maybe like 2 or 3 things a day to like or comment, maybe say twice a day. Would that make sense?
Absolutely, max. Yeah, max. And it has to be, again, relevant to you, you know, and you don't want to be encouraging someone. People go, hang on, what the hell do you know about my aircraft engineering, Mel? You'd have no idea.
Yeah. Okay.
So it has to be relevant.
One question on this. Just want to share my screen again. Because this is maybe worthwhile for people to give some thought to. Now, people that you know of or have met. So I'm just going to use Jason Westbury as an example here, the chief executive of AFTA. Now, I've met him a couple of times, right? Whether he remembers me or not, I wouldn't know, probably not, right? So, should I, and I've visited him now, so he knows should I follow him or should I connect with him if he's not like an actual friend? This is a fine line, I think. And just, can we talk about that?
Yeah, again, it's interpretation. I would connect with Jason because, and I follow people that aren't in my network, as in, when I say network, aren't in my travel community here in Australia. So someone like, Malcolm Turnbull, I would follow, you know. Yeah. I want to hear what he's got to say, but I actually don't want him to see my profile. And I don't think he's going to connect with Melissa Schembri. Oh, wow. He's the 29th Prime Minister of Australia. How creative is his title? Although he has 3 different...
it's not bad. I follow, I've been following ScoMo and... I see their posts. It's quite helpful, actually. But yes, I see what you're getting at. But just really, I don't want to interrupt you, but just really do you connect with people that you don't know well?
I would connect, as long as there's going to be a common business interest.
And in my game,
there is. Yeah, in my game, I always go, you know, I'd like to share business information with you in the future. Now, if people see our relationship as being advantageous, and to be honest, every single person in our industry should always be open to job opportunities, they're going to want to connect with me. But if it's something that is totally not relevant to them, they're not even going to accept your invitation. So it doesn't really matter. If you connect and they decide not to accept your connection, there's no difference. They're not going to block you unless you keep doing it, you know, 5 times a week. So, which we get. So I think there's not a huge issue, but I always go, you know, connect with people in the travel industry or whatever industry you work in, and then follow the people that, I guess probably not within our industry, or you're not going to do business with. So, now, one thing that I wanted to mention on the messaging out, and this goes into the session that I'm next going to do, is, you know, start promoting what you do. So with the travel agencies, you get a promotion through Etihad's, you know, super duper deal to Europe, push it out on your LinkedIn. Hey, my network, this is what's going on. If you need some information, contact me. Get those promotions out there. I mean, not one every day. You might want to do, you know what, Melissa's travel deal of the week. Bang, put it out there every Wednesday. So, you know, start selling. I mean, I have to say, I'm going to commend the Hotel Beds team. When they did a rebrand, what was that, about 12 months ago, all of their team started taking photos of the travel agencies that they were visiting. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. You know, I'm seeing who the travel agencies were out in Penrith, and then who was up at Coolangatta, and, you know, and I don't know if they were cringy calls to kind of go, come and take a selfie with me before I move on. But it was really good for them to see that this team was out there across all areas of Australia. So as a BDM, you know, you've got a great job to be able to document what's going on. You know, it could be that it's a famil that you're escorting, or it could be that it's a film night that you're presenting to. Start documenting them, because people actually like to see that stuff.
I guess it also shows everyone else that you have been entrusted to do that by a company.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and how lucky are we that we can promote such a wonderful industry? You know what, we're not here selling IT equipment,
printers or something. Yeah. No
So
offense
we're
to
actually
printers.
quite lucky. You know, I did a rebrand about 18 months ago, and the marketing company that I was using at the time, I'm like, oh, this is so cool, because they do a lot of medical and tech recruitment companies, because we've got so many images that we can use for Travel Mill. Where do we start? And that's the truth. We have some amazing content to push out there and to talk about. So let's use that out there in the messaging. So, but again, I'm going to say it again, once you're connecting with those people and liking, and message them to go for coffee, invite that client in to come in and see you about that quote. You know, try and get that face-to-face selling, because that's what will sell. You know, dealing online, you're never going to get a deal on LinkedIn, you know, and I remember the threat when LinkedIn first started. A lot of my clients were like, oh, LinkedIn's going to take over your job. You're not going to have a job. LinkedIn cannot recruit people. LinkedIn cannot sell a product. A person still needs to do that. So you need to have the personality to be able to then go, okay, let's now talk offline. So that's so important to using this. One last thing I'm going to cover today. I had a couple more things, but I'm looking at the time and we're going quite over.
Split it onto 4 sessions. It's fine.
He's talking about recommendations. So that's the last one I wanted to mention today. So I can give some homework to everybody. So recommendations are definitely something that I look at when I looked at someone's profile. So recommendations, I guess, is like an online reference check to say that this person has said that you can do this. Now, you can ask someone in your network to recommend you. And Richard, do you want to flip to your profile? Awesome. And I'm going to show you what I mean. So down the bottom of every profile is a section called recommendations. Now, you're only going to ask people to recommend you if you've got a close relationship with them and you think they're going to make the effort. Okay, so you can see here that Sam has, I'm just reading it quickly, had worked for Richard. So I might go, oh, what do they say about him? What kind of a leader is he? I'll
quickly find a good one then. Hang on. Yeah.
Sure. I love that. Look, very comical colleague looking at this. So you know what, and people aren't going to put their name to it because it stays there. You can't take it off, you know. So you want to make sure that you know, you're approaching the people that you think are going to give you one. Now, when they write one, it actually comes to you for approval. And then, like I had one this week from one of my contacts. To say, do you want to approve it? And then it gets published onto your profile. Because there might be something on that you're like, oh, hang on, maybe I might not put that on. And there's a little button there, actually, ask for recommendations. If you click on that, Richard, it does give you like a little template as well. So who do I want to ask? Yep, great. And what was your position at the time?
I work with you in different groups. I was
awesome.
My current job. I hit
That's
next,
perfect.
and it already.
Says, can you write? Now in that box, I would make sure that you write a personal message. Don't just send that.
Right.
Don't just send that. Send something that, you know what, Richard, we've been working together for the last 3 years. Love if you could help me out. I'm just trying to boost up my LinkedIn.
Yeah, and suck up to you a little bit, even
Absolutely.
if not that full on, but maybe I'm asking you to endorse me, right?
Yeah.
And someone told me that if you can confirm this or not, but if you've got 5 or more, your profile is more likely to come up. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we all have a star rating, if you've got everything filled in, you've got so many connections, you've got so many recommendations, you become like an all-star, and it gives you like a little star on your profile. But when a a recruit. So in LinkedIn, actually, there's a few products that businesses can purchase. So I use a recruiter license. There's also a sales navigator license that you can buy, and you can search for people. Now, when I'm searching, those people do come up higher. Again, but more than anything, you know, and if I talk about reference checking for a second, now reference checking, references are only as good as the people that give them, right? So Richard could give me someone totally fake. I could speak to them. Oh, that was fabulous. I don't know who they are. Whereas this, it actually has the person's profile there that you can contact.
So just a quick question then. So I've given to, I like the idea of, you know, giving more to people. Daisy's an example. That was the other day, actually, when I saw that she'd been stood down, and like many other people in the industry. So I thought, well, I like her so much, I want to say something. So she didn't even ask for one. So
No.
if I go into her profile, I can, if I remember rightly, I can just go and select to give her a recommendation. And that's something people could consider as well to spread their love around. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know what I had this week was I had one of my contacts give me one, and she said, Mel, would you mind writing me one? I went like, absolutely. You know, we had a really good business relationship, so why wouldn't I? So again, the more that we can be endorsing people, and you know, the more that you're being perceived as that expert, and that you know what you're talking about more than anything. So so that's all I wanted to cover today, because that's quite a lot. So what I'm going to say to everyone is for the next week, you've got your profile up now, look at your recommendations, build your audience, join some groups, and start taking note of what people are using LinkedIn for. Look at people's posts, look at the tone. What do you want to put out there? How do you want to be perceived in the industry? So have a look at that and start working on it. Again, feel free to contact me on LinkedIn with any questions, or if you want me to have a look at your profile, most welcome to give you some feedback along the way. But I don't know, Richard, do we have any questions that have come through?
I have not received any texts on this at the moment.
Okay, cool.
So,
okay, good.
Last, I just got one quick one about the groups, because that might be new to some people. Where do you look for those? So
within the quickest way really is if you had to go to, say, Richard's profile, you can see the groups that he's associated with. The other way that you can do is just do a search up the top. You might want to put travel and tourism, and underneath the search bar is groups. So you just click groups, and it'll come up with all the groups that are there. My tip though is just to make sure that group's audience is mainly in Australia, because there's it's going to bring up every travel and tourism group that are out there. And I did the mistake at the beginning of joining quite a lot of travel and tourism groups and realized that half of them weren't in the APAC region.
People will start selling you tours to Nepal or something, don't they?
Absolutely. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So you can see there, look, they're the ones that Richard is looking after, or looking at, is following. So we have quite a lot here in Australia. I
got told to do this, so because it was a good thing to do, and you do see some interesting things. This is a particularly busy one, isn't it? This
it is.
Travel and Tourism, 300,000 members.
Just try, and again, there's no harm in joining them and then seeing what comes through. And if it's not what you like, you can actually then come out of the group anyway. So there's no detriment. But the more that you can be part of, the more information you're going to get. And, that's a really good part of LinkedIn as well, is you're going to learn. We talk about upskilling ourselves in these times. There's so much information on LinkedIn. People are forwarding so many articles around, and, motivational pieces, and, there's a lot there to keep you updated, which is awesome.
The last thing I'm going to do, because I'm just going to get you back for what you said earlier on, and I have Googled Melissa Schembri. I'm going to well, let's go through this and find any dirt on you, shall we? No, I'm pulling your leg. But
there's actually a famous writer called Melissa Schembri.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
Yeah, so I wasn't too fussed when we first did it, and we were like, oh God. And I've got an unusual name, so there wasn't going to be too many of them. So
I found you. Look, there you are. You're from Sydney, Australia. That's maybe when
there
you're.
she is,
Is that her?
20 years younger. That is so
Yeah.
not me.
But I could get this wrong, right? Let's be serious. I could get
Yeah.
this wrong, search you and think, oh, she's into Ed Sheeran. I'm not hiring her. Yeah.
True.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it's bad, right? Because it's like it's discrimination at its best.
Mm.
But you put stuff online, that's what's going to happen. So just be
Yeah.
really aware of it. That's all.
Okay. Last thing, we're holding the Travel Industry Pub this afternoon because it's Thursday. It's Good Friday. But normally that'll be on a Friday. Have a look on our Facebook page for that because that was a bit of fun last week. We had about 14 people. I wonder what it would be like with more, but come along and join in with that, please, if you're listening and fancy something different. Thank you so much again, Melissa. So we're moving on to part 3. Maybe there'll be a part 4 if I can interrupt you enough times. Thanks. Yes. Have a lovely Easter, and same to everyone who's listening.
See you later.
Cheers. Bye.